Timmy.
Hi, Teal.
How are you?
Are
Are you not sure?
I had to think about it a little bit. I'm good now.
How was your week?
Don't know. Overwhelming. I'm overwhelmed.
It's over now. You're off tomorrow. So
Yeah, that's
good.
right. It's been good. How are you?
I'm good. I had the last 3 days off, and I spent 2 of those days reading books. So I read 2 books in 2 days, and I'm very happy.
Perfect day.
It was a great day. I did nothing with myself. It was fantastic. Oh yeah, I forgot.
We're the movie girls. Why can't we ever
Do
say that?
things. No, okay, and
We're the movie girls. We can never say that without giggling after.
Well, why would we want to do that? I like giggles.
It's cute.
What
You tell me.
Okay.
What are
Yeah. So okay.
Hey,
what
are we watching today, Teal?
Oh, how nice of you to ask.
Oh, thank you.
Okay, I picked the movie, but it is very much, I think, a both of us movie. People have asked us for this numerous times. It's been suggested almost literally every time we've said that this is the podcast we're doing about movie reviews. Like, you should do this movie, and so here we are. We are doing Thelma and Louise. So excited! Wait. So we both have seen this movie, so we both got to do our research for it, which is really fun.
I wonder who hasn't seen this
it.
movie.
Joel?
Have you not, Joel? You haven't seen this movie?
Joel doesn't like to talk anymore. Apparently, he just shakes his head in his chair.
Joel hasn't seen the movie. That's weird.
Yeah, he likes to hang out in the background with us. We make him a cocktail too, but like, he doesn't get the pretty ones. So this one I 100% didn't write down the synopsis because I wasn't thinking.
Shit, I didn't write down the synopsis because I assumed you would.
I didn't. I should have and I didn't. But you know what?
Oh, you know what? I kind of do actually have one.
Great.
But,
what you got?
Okay. Meek housewife Thelma joins her friend Louise, an independent waitress, on a short fishing trip. However, their trip becomes a flight from the law. Flight from the law?
Works.
Flight from the law. When Louise shoots and kills a man who tries to rape Thelma. I can't read my own writing. So she kills a man who tried to rape Thelma at a bar. Louise decides to flee to Mexico, and Thelma joins her. And there's more. I wrote more. That's good enough, right?
That's fine. Great.
Okay.
Yeah. This is, it came out in 91. It stars Susan Sarandon and Gina Davis. Amazing. Written by, I don't know how to say her name. Kelly Corey? Corey?
We'll look it up later, maybe.
Yeah, maybe.
So we're pronouncing it right. I don't want another Maori
situation. Like, number information, budget was $16.5 million. It did just over $43 million overall gross. Awards. It for Oscars and Golden Globes, it won best screenplay for both of those. So Kelly Corey, we'll figure out that's right later, won for both of those. Both Susan Sarandon and Gina Davis were nominated for best actress. They didn't win, but they won or were nominated. They lost out to Silence of the Lambs, which apparently was a huge movie in that year as well, which I thought was interesting. It's one of only, I think, 3 times in Oscar history that 2 women were both from the same movie nominated for Best Actress.
Wow.
And not Best Actress in Supporting.
Yes. Because that's usually the case, even when it's multiple. A couple women starring in the movie, one of them will be nominated as a supporting actress. So that's really cool.
But they both were, which is really interesting. Yeah. Director Ridley Scott. Again, boys. Whatever.
But it's interesting because Ridley Scott came off of making Alien, which starred Sigourney Weaver, who is like a relatively new actress at the time. So I just think that's important. I have some more notes about that. Yeah. Because I was interested in how this movie like came to be made at all.
Yeah. Okay, that'll be the after.
Yeah, we'll take a journey.
Afters. Cocktails. So special little treat. We actually have 2 cocktails, one Thelma, one Louise. And in order to figure out which, if we were ourselves Thelma or Louise, we absolutely did a BuzzFeed quiz to decide because BuzzFeed quizzes are basically law.
Yeah, they're never wrong.
No. So
I'm Thelma.
I'm Louise.
It's perfection.
It's perfect. So why don't you go first? Because it's first in the name. What is the Thelma?
Okay, the Thelma is essentially just a Harvey Wallbanger. In my sleep-deprived state last night when I was trying to come up with a cocktail, my reasoning as to how I came to this cocktail made sense at the time. But now that it's, the next day, it doesn't make a lot of sense to me why I chose it.
What was your reasoning?
I'll tell you. First of all, this is a Harvey Wallbanger, which I'm renaming the Thelma for the purpose of this podcast. It's supposed to be an ounce and a half of vodka, but I just want 1 ounce because we're drinking a lot. And I don't know, some of us have to work tomorrow. 4 ounces of orange juice, half an ounce of Galliano Latempico. I don't know if I'm saying that right. And also I bought it in vanilla because that's all they had, and I don't know if it's always vanilla or not. I don't know.
I think we're good.
Research is hard.
Yeah.
And then I garnished it with an orange slice and maraschino cherry, as always.
We never use maraschino cherries, so that's a nice twist.
So you pour the vodka and the orange juice into a glass over ice, and then you float the Galliano on top. Because it's supposed to have a layered appearance, which is why I chose it, because Thelma starts out as very, like, childish and insecure in the beginning. And then she undergoes a change throughout the movie, like a transformation, and she's not as passive anymore. She's very brave. And in my mind, I was like, oh, a nice, like, layered cocktail to show all of her layers. I really wanted to do, like, a color-changing cocktail, but that looked like a lot of hard work that I wasn't willing to put into this. You know me and my, like, 3-ingredient cocktail rule. So here we are, vodka, OJ, Galliano. Like,
love it.
So that's why I chose this for the Thelma.
I like it.
Tell me about the Louise.
The Louise.
Or do we like? Should we try?
Cheer? Okay, let's try the Thelma.
We're gonna try the Thelma.
Cheers to finding our layers.
That is so lovely.
That's nice.
Oh, I'm kind of into it.
I like it. It's subtle. There's not a whole lot of.
You're right. It tastes like
it's
kind of a creamsicle, because the Galliano, if you've never had it before, is like a vanilla and anise flavor.
I like it.
It's good. This would be really good in the morning because orange juice. This is nice. Joel, did you try it?
It's good.
Thanks for that. Delightful insight, Joel.
Okay, tell me about the Louise.
The Louise is essentially a margarita, because they want to get margaritas by the sea when they eventually get to Mexico, and they're always drinking tequila. But it's a little bit of a different one. So it's actually a champagne margarita. So it's I've got tequila, lime juice, simple syrup, triple sec, and then topped with champagne. I put it in like my Pretty Rocks glass. So the drink in my so it's not too sweet, not too sour, just like Louise. But also it looks really delicate and pretty, but it's actually a very strong cocktail.
Yes,
just like her. Delicate.
Oh,
but
yours makes
strong.
So much more sense than mine does. I tried so hard, and then I was like, today I was like, I don't get it.
I like it. It was fun. So yeah, it's a champagne margarita that is delicate but strong.
That's amazing. And the two cocktails, like the contrast of them beside each other, like it just makes sense. Yeah. I'm actually really proud of us. This turned out so well, because it could have just been like a shit show. Okay, we're gonna try the Louise. Cheers to
Delicate's drink.
I wanted to say something
witty.
Something
funny. What you got? What do you think?
No, because I immediately forgot.
Oh shit! Fuck.
Cheers.
Cheers. Margarita eat. Salty.
Salty. It's a margarita, but it's got like a champagne buzz. Bubblies. That's really cool.
I had to like take a sip with salt. There was too much salt in my head.
There's a lot of salt.
And then I took one from
I like
no
this.
salt. It was good. It is nice.
Ooh. Oh my god. And I think, yeah, the flavors of the cocktails and the characters, we're genius.
We did a really good job.
We did a really good job. We always do a good job. Like there hasn't been a bad cocktail yet.
No.
And these ones are probably like the cocktails that I would recommend to other people, because the other ones are all so fucking sweet, and these ones are not as sweet, which is nice.
But they both have sweetness to them.
But you're not overwhelmed by it like you are with all the other ones we've had, which I'm fine with, but not everyone is looking for that.
That's good.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so shall we watch the show?
Mm-hmm.
All right. Well, see you in a minute.
See you in a bit.
Goodbye.
God, so needy. No, not you.
So we're back.
Hello.
Hello.
We're full of tequila and champagne and vodka and Galliano. Feeling pretty good.
Triple sec in there too.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and mine had 3 alcohols.
Feeling it.
Sorry about it.
No, it's fine. We maybe had seconds.
Yeah, we might have. Okay, but this is also a 2-hour-long movie, which I think is the longest movie we've done. So 2 cocktails is not a lot of
It's
cocktails.
not a lot. And we also paused it a couple of times to go on
multiple
some
times. I don't think we can watch movies with Joel anymore.
No, let's get into it.
In it.
Got a lot to talk about.
In it to win it.
What do you want to talk about first?
I think you should go first.
Okay.
I think my stuff is all real downer.
Oh.
I got downers.
I really looked into Callie Corey, who wrote the movie, and also into how I wanted to know exactly how the movie got made. How Callie Curry, who had done nothing really before this. Like, this is her first foray into screenwriting. How did she get this movie made? But let's start with her. Gina Davis has said of her, she's revolutionary. She creates characters that are in charge of their fate to the bitter end. Female characters who are in charge of themselves. Isn't that nice?
That's wonderful.
Yeah, because it's so great at the end. And if you guys haven't seen this movie, I'd say within like the last 10 years, rewatch it.
Yeah.
It's because I don't even know the last time I saw this movie. It would have been ages and ages and ages ago.
I'm sure this is one of my. I'm sure this is one of my late night high school summer movies.
Yeah, yes.
I'm positive that's the last time I watched it. So it's been at least a few years for me.
Just a couple.
Just a couple.
How did it compare?
I think it means a lot more to me now, and it resonates more with
because
me.
We're a lot closer to the ages of the women that are being portrayed in the film now.
For me, I don't know if it's so much that as it's I know so much more of who I am as a human being, and I know more of who I am as a woman than I did when I watched this the first time. Let's be honest, about 10 plus years ago.
10 plus.
Yes, when I watched this about 10 or so years ago, I didn't know quite who I was and what I believed in and all, you know what I mean? And I hadn't had as many life experiences, and this resonates more with me now. I'm having, I guess, all right, let's get into it. I'm having a hard time with this one. It has just hit me really hard, and I'm feeling real emotional about it. Look at me getting all teary.
I think again that's partially due to all of the alcohol consumed.
No, even though I have my research, I had a hard time finding research because I read all the trivia on IMDb, and usually there's like some good stuff in there, and none of it was really clicking. I'm like, well, this is all like whatever. But I read so many articles and really well written pieces about this movie. Not so much about when it came out, but within the last 5 years that they were written. Oh, someone's getting me a Kleenex.
I feel like Oprah.
Oh, God.
I've got Kleenex at the ready.
Shit. About how when this movie came out, and it was in 91, and 92 was when it was in, like, its Oscar season and blah, blah, and how they had dubbed 92 the Year of the Woman. There was, 5 women in the Senate or something. There was a bunch of, like, political appointings that were women that hadn't been before, and this was the Year of the Woman. Like, there were, like, with Callie Curry, so many things were happening for women, and it was a start of something, of this beautifully well done female driven story that passes the Bechdel test for once. And it's been almost 30 years, and we are no better off than we are, and it's really hard. I'm having
because you don't watch it and be like, oh, I'm glad things are so different now.
Yeah.
Because it holds up so well today.
It holds up so well. And everything that they faced, and, you know, like how the whole thing happened in the first place was the entire, you know, transitioning or pivotal moment is they're in a bar having a nice time with friends, and some dude comes up and they're flirting and having a nice time, and she's gonna be sick, so she goes outside and he follows her out there. Oh, I'm gonna be like this helpful guy because I'm pretending that I'm awesome, and she's literally being sick, and he tries to rape her, and they already know that they'll never be believed. And it's already happened to Louise, and she wasn't believed, and nothing about that is even a modicum different than what it is now. And it is heartbreaking for me. And it's, I don't know, I'm having a hard time. I watched this very differently with a very different perspective.
Well, because that line when Thelma turns to Louise and she's like, I finally feel awake. Like, do you feel awake? And I was like, yes,
yeah,
I do. And I think that's the difference.
More than ever.
You're watching this and you've gone through all of your experiences in life in your 20s, and it's such a different perspective watching it now than when we were teenagers.
Definitely. I didn't have a lot of experiences or didn't understand the world as much, and, you know, still lived at home, and you don't really
because,
understand.
You know, you identify with them at the beginning. They're kind of a little bit more innocent about the world, and men are taking advantage of them, and that's just how it is. And then by the end of the film, they're not taking shit from any men.
No.
Period.
Yeah.
And that's incredible. And then that's, in your life as you grow and you age, you get close to that point where you're like, I don't have to take this anymore.
Yeah. And that was the whole point of the end, is that they're living life by their own terms. And
Yeah.
if that means they no longer live that life, then that is their choice,
That's their
and they
decision.
make it
Mm-hmm.
because they can make that choice about themselves. Nobody else is going to make that choice. They're going to do it. They're doing it together. They both consented to do it together, because again, that's a strange term in this world. And they did it, and they did it by their own will, their own choice, their own steam. It was done because they knew it wasn't going to make a difference. Like, if their life would be ruined one way or the other, why not ruin it on their own?
Yeah.
By their own standards.
Well said.
Sorry for the Debbie Downer on that one.
No.
Sorry
It's
about
not,
it.
though. It's not a downer. It's just real. Also, did you know Callie Curry was the first woman to win the award for Best Screenwriter without a partner in, I think it was like, since 1930s.
Really?
Yeah. Which I wrote down the name of like the woman that had won that award. It's like Frances Marion, I think, who was a screenwriter in the 30s and wrote like a shit ton of movies.
Oh wow.
I mean, we'll maybe do a deep dive on her sometime too. But isn't that
We would love
isn't
to do
that
a
crazy?
deep dive, and also, can we watch a 30s movie? That
Oh
sounds
yeah,
amazing.
that'd be
I love
fun.
old stuff.
Let's do it.
So yeah, sorry, I don't have a ton of I really don't have much for trivia because I was just bogged down by
trivia
feelings.
is, not to be funny, trivial when it comes to like the content of this movie.
Yeah.
Let's
There's
get a little
definitely
deeper
like fun
into
little
it.
bits. And
Of course, but like
Yeah.
the reason that they had humor in this movie was so that men would watch it.
Fuck. No, I didn't know that. And that does not make me feel better. That's so bothersome. Anyway.
I'll find it. Yeah. So Ridley Scott told Callie, I want a universal reach. Comedies are so powerful because they don't shut off half the audience. You want the males to listen. You want them to actually eat crow because every male in that movie is damaged goods.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
I mean, and like the original theatrical trailer of this makes it seem like this real, like, buddy cop type style of like best friends going on a road trip. And they didn't show any of
they didn't make any of it.
None of it.
It's just immediately goes wrong.
Which I guess is, if the intent is to get everyone, men included, in this theater and basically force them to watch one of their own being a piece of shit, or several of them being shitty human beings, so that maybe they'll actually realize that they're shit, then, bravo, kudos.
Kudos. But like, we don't need to make movies for men. That's all they've had. We can make movies for women, and men will go.
Yeah. We've been, and I think
we
about that almost
Brave.
every week.
Yeah.
With Brave, with Wonder Woman, with so many movies that are female driven exclusively. They do amazingly well at the box office.
Because we
but I
want
mean,
to
even
see
this
it.
one, it has a 16 million budget and it did 43. I'm like, well, it more than doubled. It almost tripled its budget. So I mean, they clearly make money. 30 years ago it made money.
Why are we still trying to prove that they can make money? We know it's a thing, and yet it's always something that has to be proven.
Yeah. Oh, well, I don't know if it's gonna work. No, it fucking works. We've told you that for 30 years.
Well, I've got more on that in a bit too.
Sorry.
Well, no, before we get to that, so Callie had also said that adult women are a market that I feel is undeserved? No, underserved. Callie said adult women are a market that I feel is underserved in the entertainment population at large. I don't see the kind of women represented that I know or that I'm attracted to. I really want to try to write more nuanced, less simplistic kind of stuff, and it's hard to find a place to do that. So she said she tried to get several movies made in the 10 years since this film came out, and she met incredible resistance. People kind of put her in a box of making female-centric movies, and she thought it was unfair because she was seeing men win, their first Academy Award and then be free to make whatever they wanted. Here's a blank check, right? It's just, it felt like it was being handled to them. And she proved herself that she was qualified, and yet she didn't get another movie made for, I think, 10 years. So, that kind of tells you everything, right?
Yeah. And she did such an amazing job. And this was written specifically for the screen. It was not, yet in our world now where what 90% of movies that are up for awards in the Oscars are all adaptations
Right.
or redos or sequels or
It's entirely
prequels.
from
And
her own mind, and she even said in that
yeah,
interview that they didn't really change anything. Like, what a testament to her skill
as a
as a
writer,
writer.
as a creator, as someone who imagines things and is a
And that wasn't even enough.
storyteller, she did a wonderful job.
And you know what's kind of interesting? So, I think twice in her past she had been mugged, and
Really.
the last time she had a realization that if she had a gun, she would have killed the guy that mugged her.
Yeah.
So I think like a lot of that anger was in Louise's character
Yeah, I
because
could
she
see
had
that.
been raped and then
Hmm.
seeing her friend get raped and she had the gun in her hand and she didn't. It just happened, right? If you could, you would
Yeah.
defend yourself in any
Hmm.
way or defend your friend in any way. I would shoot a man for you.
I would shoot a man for you too.
It's really
Watch out, boys.
nice.
Don't touch my friend.
Have some more lighthearted stuff.
Okay.
Did you hear who was originally in mind to play the roles of Thelma and Louise?
Oh yes, oh shoot.
Frances
Frances
McDormand,
McDormand and
Holly Hunter.
yes.
Which like would have
Was
been
so
let's get that remake now.
just Frances McDormand.
Oh
Oh my god.
She's the best. And do you know who else? Jodie Foster and Michelle Pfeiffer.
Yeah.
Which is funny because, like Teal mentioned earlier on, Jodie Foster won the award for Best Actress from Silence of the Lambs, so she had
Yeah.
made this movie.
Yeah,
Maybe
can
she
you
would have won
imagine?
Best. Yeah.
Or would she even have made Silence of the Lambs? Don't know.
Yeah.
But yeah, Silence like swept the Oscars that year with
Totally.
like everything.
Oh,
almost.
100%. And that, we should watch that too. That
Yeah.
would have been an interesting pairing, I guess. I don't know. It's a little bit harder to imagine, I think, than Frances McDormand and Holly Hunter, which would have been a lot of fun. And then
Yeah.
also Meryl Streep and Goldie Hawn.
Oh, I didn't hear about that one.
Isn't that funny? Yeah. I guess Ridley Scott felt that Goldie Hawn was a bit not quite right for the role. He liked Meryl Streep, but Meryl Streep also wanted one of them to live, which, I mean, I don't understand how that would have worked. That would have been
Well,
a
that
completely
was one
different
of
movie.
the alternate endings in this one is that Louise pushes Thelma from the car and Thelma survives. Yeah. Oh, you didn't hear about that one?
No.
Yeah, that was one of the written endings is that Thelma lives. Louise pushes her out and Thelma lives.
That was my theory. I was talking about it to my coworker today, and I
Oh,
said
really?
we were trying to like figure out how one would have lived and the other would have died. Like, do they pull the car over and she gives her last chance to get out? And I was like, I bet she pushed her from the car.
Yeah.
That's so
Yeah.
interesting.
So yeah, Louise shoves her out, but then they decide not to do that. And
Well, she didn't get the role.
this wasn't. It wouldn't have meant as much as it did.
No, because they were in it together,
And that was the whole point.
That's the whole point.
Yeah. Friends.
So okay, how the film got made. Well, I think Callie Curry had some Corey had some connections, but when the film was getting shopped, it was like consistently getting turned down.
Naturally.
I guess Ridley Scott got his hands on the script, and while he didn't picture himself directing it at first,
Neither did she, I think, too.
She was kind of against
either.
it because it was this man who had come off making all these manly men movies, with the exception of Alien,
which I've never seen. We should probably put that on our list.
Definitely put that on our list. He also had trouble. He said like four men turned him down immediately, and one like referred to the Thelma and Louise as like bitches, and he's like, well, why are you calling them bitches?
That's lovely.
And then eventually he was himself being really picky about who's going to make it because I think Michelle Pfeiffer told him like, you need to be the one to make this movie, and he was like, oh, I do.
It me.
It me. What else? Yeah, and also Gina Davis. She really wanted the role. Originally, she wanted the role of Louise, and she had her agent call Ridley Scott every week for a year, asking about the movie because she just wanted it so bad. But I think when she saw Susan Sarandon audition, she was like, "Oh, I'm gonna be Thelma."
Yeah,
this is Louise.
I read that the second she met like Susan, she was just like, "Yep, that's Louise."
And I think she's also. I read she was responsible for getting Brad Pitt in as well.
Yeah, and also like Susan Sarandon, how she's just such a wonderful actress, and a lot of she had got to have but a lot of her input was actually taken by Ridley Scott, about her character, about scenes. A lot of scenes were made specifically because of her. A lot of her character choices were specific, and some of the things that she did, like or like were ad lib, like in the beginning when she's packing up all her suitcases, everything's in like Ziploc bags. But like those telling you the scene when they're at the motel after after they shoot what's his face, and Thelma's at the pool, has her headphones on, and like Louise is supposed to get out of the car and be like, Thelma, and Thelma's supposed to hear her and like get and go. And Thelma, Gina Davis had her Walkman turned up too loud and didn't hear Susan Sarandon like saying the line, basically giving her the cue. So Susan Sarandon marches up and yanks her headphones off. They both get startled and off they go. And it was just like the best scene ever. It was just so natural and adorable. And off they go again.
Because they have such great chemistry.
Yeah.
Which I'm so glad the two of them were chosen for the role.
Yeah, they did a great job. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was wonderful. I really
they really embody their characters.
Yeah. What are your thoughts? How do you feel about this after? I went into mine for sure.
Oh no, I agree with you completely. I'm overwhelmed.
Yeah. It's definitely interesting watching this now and how I see it as opposed to how I watched it the first time 10 or plus years ago. Mm-hmm. It's so very different.
And I bet if we watch it in another 10 years, it'll be the same reaction.
Or maybe it'll actually be, maybe, oh my God, can you imagine if we watch it in 10 years and it's like, oh my God, I can't believe the world used to be like that. Wouldn't that be amazing? Can we hope for a second?
Dream world you're living in.
I know. I just need a little bit
But
of
no,
happiness.
to watch it in another 10 years and experience it from, yet another point of view and perspective in your life will be interesting. Let's make a pact.
Okay.
Let's watch this in 2029. We'll get together.
Yeah. So any other fun facts, or shall we move on to our questions?
We can move on to our questions. Do you have any more fun facts?
I don't. Okay. I don't have more fun facts.
I just want to say, like, doing a bit of a dive on Callie Corey, she's so cool. I could have, and she's really the only thing that I researched last night because I was just like, everything I read, she's just so interesting and so well spoken, and I love her points of view on everything, and I could have just kept going, but I didn't have time because it was like 9 p.m. and I had to wake up early the next day. Check her out, listen to her interviews. What was that one that we watched, The Makers, I think?
Yeah, one about Thelma and Louise, and then one about chick flicks. How do you think that's a ridiculous name for things?
Because it automatically like diminishes the film.
Yeah, it's like, oh well, that's just like, ugh.
Which is exactly like that was Teal's exact point in episode 1 too. So
yeah, no, that's why I don't like calling things chick flicks. Mm-hmm. And that was one of the names that we had talked about. It was Chicks Talking Flicks, but I think it's already a podcast or something.
Right.
And I am glad that it was taken because I mean I love a rhyme, but I don't like the term chick. I don't like chick flick. I don't want to diminish what women are capable of and diminish the stories about and made by women, because we're important. We're half the population and we're just as important as men. And stop making us less than we are. Go fuck yourselves. So, I'm just thinking of the episode of Friends with Phoebe and Rachel and Monica. And Phoebe's this whole that book that they read, and they're all about you're taking my wind, and you're in my pool of whatever. Just don't take our wind.
It's my wind. All right, so I don't think I need to ask. Did you like it?
Yeah, I did. I liked it a lot. I had so many feelings. I'm quite sad about it. I'm very sad. I think too. I'm like very on the verge of like
in my chest, and I'm sure we'll keep talking about this for the next, and we'll have more thoughts.
Yeah.
Once I've sobered up a little bit, I'm sure I'll be a little more coherent and.
Oh, I'm sober. I'm good.
Good for you.
Sorry about it. Yeah, if we were doing this, I'm pretty sure I would just have a little cry meltdown right now because that's how I'm feeling.
Yeah.
Yeah, I took this one hard. I don't know why. I do know. I don't know. I guess we talked about why, but yeah, this one's it's hit my soul
because they'd both been put through the ringer. And do you think too, if Susan Sarandon's character hadn't been raped, then she may not have had that snap to kill that man.
Mhm.
They wouldn't have had to avoid going through Texas, and they would have
Yeah.
made it to Mexico. And it's just this chain of events.
Events.
That any
Well,
woman can succumb to, because we've all been through it. You know what
yeah,
I
in
mean?
some form or another, in
Mhm.
some degree of horribleness. But they say too that the PTSD experience from those sexual attacks is the same as the PTSD that veterans experience from war. It's the same. It's the same. Like the causes from are different, but the I don't even know how to say it. The amount, level, intensity of PTSD is the same. It's the same thing. So it's like when veterans come back from the war and they hear loud noises in the night and lose their shit and draw guns on their family, but it's because they can't turn off that part of their brain that is war. So being a woman who's gone through and been raped, that's like, at least that's what was suggested for Louise, watching her friend seconds before being raped. I mean, what was her brain? What was her thought process? And that's of course she fucking pulled the trigger. Like,
Yeah.
is that can you blame her?
Mhm.
I don't know. I don't know. Anyway, downturn again. Ooh,
It's
ooh, I'm on a downturn this
Who-
episode.
who would
This
you-
is supposed to be our fun, lighthearted one, and I ruined
No, you didn't ruin it. Don't say that. Don't be so hard on yourself.
it. Okay.
That's not the case. I think these
mhm.
are conversations that need to happen. Life isn't
Hey.
always
Sunshine and lollipops.
brave and miscongeniality.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's
Sometimes it's this.
sometimes it's heavenly creatures, and it's
And it's
Thelma and Louise driving off a cliff. Spoilers. Who would you recommend this to?
I recommend this to oblivious men. I recommend this
Good thing
to,
there's comedy in it for them.
Thank
To
God.
soften the blow.
Because those boys just can't handle it if it's too serious.
No, we need to cushion it. We
It's
need to
so
make it
hard.
palatable for them.
Yeah, let's just sugarcoat things for them. But
Which isn't like I feel like they did a good job in this movie. I don't want to put it down, and it's just kind of funny that again had to be mentioned.
It had to be mentioned, of course. I recommend this to, the younger generation of women and the women that are our age and older. It's
Go back and watch it. 100%. Go back and watch it.
Anyone that isn't sure how they feel about this period in history now with this Me Too movement and everything that's happening, if you're not, watch this and research this and read things about this and remind yourself of why we're fighting so hard and why we're speaking up and why we're standing up to our coworkers, our friends, our family, which hits home really hard for me. Why we're almost severing ties, because this is important. These things are important, and that's who should watch this.
Yeah, and anybody that needs to be reminded that it's okay to be empowered to stand up for yourself and stand up for your friends.
Yeah.
Oh, honey. What mood should I be in to watch it at?
Oh man, I was in a really good mood and now I've got sads in there. As I wipe away my tears from my mascara. Yeah, I don't know where my Kleenex. I found it. There it is. I got it. Thanks, Tiffy. What mood? Mood? We're talking about mood?
Yeah.
Yeah. Be in any
kind of mood. If you're feeling shitty because a guy was shitty to you, watch this movie.
Yeah, if you're feeling like you love your best friend more than anything, watch this one, because this makes me love you even more.
Samesies. You are my Louise.
Yeah, you're my Thelma.
Any mood.
Any mood.
You're gonna feel all sorts of things.
All the feelings.
All the feelings. Just make sure you have 2 hours to decide to watch the movie.
Yeah, and don't get distracted by the 16 things we got distracted by. It took us it took us like 4 hours to watch this. It's fun. It was a great evening. What would we how would you rate this, Tiff? I always enjoy your choices.
I would rate this 6 cowboy Brad Pitts
Ooh.
out of 11 Thunderbirds driving off a cliff.
Ooh.
How would you rate this?
I would rate this.
No, that was wrong. I would rate this 12 cowboy
12
Brad Pitts.
cowboys out of 11 Thunderbirds.
Yeah.
I would rate this one true kindred friendship out of anything. What
Out of-
else do you want?
One true kindred friendship out of all the acquaintances in the world. One bosom buddy.
Yeah, one bosom pal is all you need.
You're the Anne to my Diana.
Oh my god, I love Anne and Diana.
I know, they're the best. They're true bosom buddies.
Thelma Louise, Anne and Diana, Romy and Michelle. You know, everyone's there. Well, on that note, this has been a slice. Perk up, everyone. We love you all. Let's keep getting those voices.
Let's keep supporting each other.
Yeah,
lifting each other up.
Yeah, listening, believing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, especially you fellas out there. Just listen. You don't have to talk. Just listen. Just believe. And ladies, you stick with your Thelmas out there and your Louises.
Aww.
I love you. I love you.
Okay, bye.
We're the Movie Girls, and we love you. Goodbye.
Bye.
I would drive us right off a cliff.